Well, hello everybody once again, and we're continuing our conversations about the work of ABHI's member groups. And today it's all things sustainability, a topic which we didn't seem to talk about at all not that long ago, whereas now it seems to be entwined in absolutely everything we're doing. So I'm joined today by the chair of ABHI's relatively newly formed sustainability group, Michelle Sullivan from Boston Scientific. Michelle, great to have you speaking to us today. We're recording this just at the beginning of May, actually, just after the early May bank holiday. First question we always ask as people are interested, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how it's relevant to your role leading this group for us.
Yeah, no problem. It's nice to be here, Richard. So I head up public affairs at Boston Scientific, and I've been doing that since April last year. Before that, I was running their health economics and market access team. And actually, sustainability's got quite a lot in common with health economics. You just substitute carbon footprint and carbon kilograms and tons for pounds and pence. And it's all the same sort of calculation, which is how I started getting interested in it. And it's become a bit of an obsession and a thing in my life where most of what I do, even within Boston Scientific, has become environmental sustainability. So I've been doing some work in terms of qualifying. I went to a course at Cambridge, Sustainability and Business Leadership towards Net Zero, which I've just passed the course, 8 weeks of very intense understanding this whole world. And so I feel like I'm suitably qualified now to be the chair of this sustainability group and to help everybody understand what all this stuff means and how we can do better in the future.
That's great, Michelle, and congratulations on passing your course. So let's assume a lot of people watching this will be the other end of the spectrum from you, have not made that real kind of a deep personal investment in sustainability. Just give us a sense from your perspective of some of the key things we really need to look out for as an industry.
Well, the first thing we're all going to have to do is know exactly where we are right now. So we're going to have to get organised to measure and understand what our carbon footprint is as a business and think about how we can go about that. Before we do that, even, people are going to have to do a little bit of what I've done, maybe not as extreme as what I've done, because I hate not knowing what I'm talking about. And if I'm going to talk about something, I want to be an expert. But they need to become carbon literate. And one of the things that I'm going to do as part of the work with ABHI is to help people that are our members become carbon literate and understand what all these terms mean, because I know it's a whole other language and people don't understand it. And when you start to understand what everything means, it starts to make common sense. And then you can start to think, OK, how am I going to go about this? So the first thing is know where you're at and then know what resources there are to help you and to support you and to help you understand. And there are lots of resources, and the NHS and the report that the ABHI have just done with ARUP all help refer to some of those resources. And it's going to require focused attention and effort. So that's my advice so far. Start at the beginning, know where you're at, and then you can start to plan what you're going to do to change your carbon footprint or reduce your greenhouse gas emissions as a company in those scope 1 and scope 2 emissions that are terms that most people don't know what they mean. So I would help that going forward, hopefully.
Well, that's great, Michelle. It's really interesting to hear. So you mentioned the report we did with ARUP. People may have seen that launch. We with some support from our board members, our larger board members, we engaged ARUP, the people who actually advised the NHS on their own kind of green journey to come up with a report which offers a framework for people what they need to do by awareness some of the resources. So that was a really exciting output from your work as a sustainability group. Michelle, I mean, you mentioned that educational bit, getting everybody carbon literate. I think that's a lovely term. And what other pieces of work might we expect to see from the group in the months ahead?
I think going forward, we're going to be partly working with the NHS and NHS supply chain to collaborate and understand that the journey that we're all going to have to go on, make sure that things aren't going to be asked of us that are impossible, and make sure that everyone's understanding everything from each other's perspective. We're going to truly dig into some of the challenges that were highlighted in the ARIT report from particularly SMEs. You know, the larger companies and global corporations do have some resource and have started the work in this world, but SMEs are going to need a lot more support, and so I think that the ABHI group can really help with that and make sure that there's a central resource and a sort of hub of information and different frameworks, different things that you could use to support you and help you in your journey. The first thing's going to be getting everybody on the same page, though, and right now that isn't where everybody's at. People don't really understand this world, and I know that because that was me a year ago, and I worked for a big corporation and I was responsible for this. So if that's me, then that's everybody. So I'll take everybody on that journey along with the group to start down that pathway of understanding and believe that things are possible, because right now I think it looks quite scary and it looks quite intimidating, and it looks like, oh, well, how am I supposed to be able to do this? So that's what it's going to be about from my perspective anyway. And I'm just speaking as the chair. I'm not everybody.
Well, that's great. You've taken on quite a challenge there, Michelle, and I'm very
Yes.
glad you have. Final piece of advice for people, and apart from obviously joining a sustainability group, keeping an eye out for your outputs, is there one or a couple of pieces of advice you give to someone who's thinking, golly, I've just heard this, what is it I need to do today?
Well, actually, it sounds a bit precious, but I would read the ARIT report. It looks big and scary, and I was looking at the glossary of it actually before we were talking today, and I was thinking, oh God, I wouldn't have known what any of these things mean a while ago, and it's, as I say, a whole other language. So start at the beginning, have a look at what it says, the things that it's suggesting that you do, so that you start to understand the things that you're going to have to ask for help with. And that's where I would start right now, because they've sort of done the heavy lifting for you in that very beginning piece. So thanks to the board for actually doing that piece of work.
That's great. That's great advice, Michelle. Thanks. And when we put this out, we'll add in the links to that for that member-only resource. Actually, we were really pleased with that. Really proud of it. Michelle, thanks again for your time today. We look forward to doing this again, indeed, and seeing the progress your group are making. But thanks again for taking it on. It really is one of the most important things that is in front of us at the moment, and is going to be with us for the rest of our careers, I think.
Absolutely, can't agree more. Thanks, Richard.